walk around, you can start to kind of get a sense of what the Gold Saucer is actually trying to be, which is Final Fantasy Disneyland. So I wasn't sure when we heard the opening number if they were going for that, like I said, but now it's pretty obvious that it's totally influenced by Disney parks, which are not only popular, by the way, around the world, like Disney World, Disneyland, all that, but Disney parks are particularly popular in Tokyo, like big time in Tokyo, Japan. In fact,
how do you know all this, Jolie?
I will tell you. So Japan, nice, like feeding me the transition.
Segue! I'm kidding.
Okay, so Japan, where Rebirth was created, has the only Disney parks in the world that are jointly owned by a non-Disney company that's not tied to the government directly like it is in Shanghai. But this company is called the Oriental Land Company, or the OLC. And that company pours tons of money, like additional money, in addition to Disney money, into these parks. There's two of them. There's Tokyo Disneyland, and then there's Tokyo Disney Sea, which is like CSEA, like ocean kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Two big major parks. And that makes these parks in Tokyo more elaborate and more extravagant, I would say, in my opinion, than other global Disney parks. And it's also the reason that like Disney employees have like a free pass to go to other parks, but they can't go to the Tokyo Disney parks with their pass because it's not fully owned by Disney, right? So they have like 2 tickets a year or something like that to get into those parks, right? Shanghai Disney has its own restrictions because they're co-owned by the Chinese government. But in this case, OLC is a for-profit company and they're pouring money into these parks because the Japanese love their Disney parks. They love them. Now, Spencer's like, why do you mention? I mentioned this because for those who are unfamiliar, I've kind of touched on this a little bit in past discussions. I used to be a spokesperson for Disney.
Please welcome our Disney ambassador, Jolie Hales.
I was called the Disney ambassador. They select 2 every 2 years, and we're basically the spokesperson. We're based out of a specific Disney park, and for me, it was Disneyland. So I actually had an office inside Space Mountain for a little bit, which is kind of crazy to tell people. But I did a lot of media interviews, a lot of parades, shows, special events, all that kind of stuff. And I worked for Disney for 8 years, and so I will be your guide through Disney parallels of the Gold Saucer, whether you care or not.
I'm excited.
Do they have annoying Moogles at the park?
They don't.
They got some other annoying stuff.
See, the mouse is always watching, so there's only so much negative stuff I can say. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually been a decade since I left. And the parks have changed quite a bit since then. But so the first Disney nods in the Gold Saucer are right here when Cloud walks around, because you can see the costumed characters entertaining children, as well as saucer employees selling balloons. And yes, these kinds of things, they exist at other theme parks, but many of these ideas resulted directly from Walt Disney's brain in the 1950s. And Disney has set the standard on how they should look and how they should be done. And then other theme parks across the world of other brands tend to copy Disney, right? So even like the balloon vendor holds balloons just like a Disney balloons vendor, right? Like all in a clump. You'll see a lot of people, they let kids at Disneyland hold the whole balloon thing. Every now and then when I was working there, you'd see an entire balloon collection go up into the air, which is funny because they're like $16 a piece for those balloons, right?
Welcome to paradise, the Gold Saucer.
All of the people working there are in these like clean cut themed costumes. The environment is very clean. It's very purposeful. It's not like a carnival where there's like popcorn stuff on the floor. Like it's very, very Disney-esque to me, right? Although there was one difference that did stand out to me right away is the costumed characters were also speaking. Did you notice that?
Like the Tonberries and the Chocobos?
Yeah, like there was Tonberry. Like if you go up to them, they talk and it's like super muffled.
Oh, I didn't hear them.
That is not a Disney thing, right? Like
Yeah, because the minute the child hears that it's not the same voice, they're going to be like, "What is that?"
They don't talk like the little Tonberry high pitch, like, da, 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 da,
oh, that's
da,
right.
da. Like, that's like not Tonberry stuff.
That's the thing is like full costume talking like a totally normal person.
So they know that there's humans underneath them. Okay.
I guess. Yeah, it's hilarious, by the way, that they chose a Tonberry to be a costume character.
It's so good.
Because those things are terrifying.
Tonberries are kind of scary, if you ask me.
I heard a Tonberry stab you if you cut in line.
I love it though. Like that's one of my favorite things. Is like no one's afraid of Moogles in this universe. No one's afraid of Chocobos. Tonberries are like the most terrifying enemy.
Terrifying.
But yes, the Tonberries in the mascots. It's like my favorite thing.
It's like because in Disney parks you get like all these nice characters and stuff, but you don't ever get like a costumed character that's going to kill you. Like,
Yeah.
So much so that one of Spencer's favorite characters is in a Tonberry suit later.
No, we talk about that yesterday.
Oh.
I know who that is.
Yes,
Your
that
favorite
is
too,
true. You go into the hotel lobby, and you guys, I think the hotel lobby is just too much fun. Like,
It's awesome.
Mhm.
it's so good.
I think it's great. Everything about it.
Like there's spooky decor, there's spooky music, there's like ghosts that fly out of the clock. There's other ghosts who are sitting there playing Queen's Blood. It's just a lot of spooky fun. And
Yeah, it was like walking into like the Addams Family.
Yeah.
yeah, or like the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland again,
Yeah.
right? Like it's
The thing about Disneyland is that it's way better themed than any theme park. You know, you go to Six
Right.
Flags and it's mostly just you're like in a cattle call of these, you know, lines, and it's not themed in the lines. But when you go to Indiana Jones ride, you're in a freaking tomb and you're exploring all this stuff as you're waiting to get on the ride.
there's codes on the walls, the music,
Yeah.
the temperature, the smells sometimes, even like the cues, the straps of the bars that will often like keep you in a certain line are themed to that specific line. And they'll actually paint rust
Yeah.
onto those to try to make it match the time period for that particular attraction. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And the haunted hotel gives me vibes of Disney, right?
absolutely.
I'm at this haunted hotel. Everything is themed, from the cast members who are, you know, taking reservations for your rooms, or the funny cast member over by the bar who says she got bit by like this zombie.
She got bit
like,
by a zombie.
yeah, and then she's like, I don't know how much time I have. It's like they're totally sticking to the bit.
Just so you know, I was bitten by a zombie a few days ago. If you want to exchange your points, you'd better hurry before I turn.
Right, and that's why they're called cast members, right? It's because at Disney parks,
Right, they're performers.
they were never called that at any other theme parks before Walt Disney. Walt Disney was the one who said, I want everybody to be part of this cast because this entire
Right.
theme park is a show and you're
Yeah.
part of the cast. So that's why you're cast members. And when you go into a place where like a guest can't go, you're backstage, right?
Yeah.
Everything is themed after a show. And it feels that way here. And
But it totally works.
it totally works. And you talk about like the girl who says that she got bit by a zombie or whatever. She's a cast member like performing or whatever. I saw that all the time at my
Yeah.
time with Disney. Like if you go to the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, which has changed, it's now.
Still my biggest regret. Guardians of the Galaxy is cool, but Tower of Terror was the best.
I know. I miss Tower of Terror. I'm traditional that way as well.
They'd lean up really close to it when the elevator doors would open. They'd just be standing there staring at you.
Yeah.
I loved that.
And the cast members would act, right? They would,
Yeah.
and that was totally by their own fruition. That was what they wanted to do to be a part of the show because show is so valued. But
yeah.
it totally, I agree with you that it feels very Disney Parks-esque when you walk into this hotel lobby. Although Barrett does not agree.
Yeah, he doesn't like it.
I thought the outside was tacky. Seems classy now.
He does not like it, Al.
Please proceed to the elevator at the top of the stairs.
But then beyond that, we get into the elevator and there's a spooky bellhop in there.
He's the best.
He's awesome. And I think like he kind of breaks character for a moment
Because
because
doesn't he say going down?
yeah,
then
and they're like going up. He's like, oh, good. I mean up or something like that. Yeah.
Good.
You wish to go down, I presume?
4th floor.
Oh, of course.
It's great because this is a blatant nod to Twilight Zone Tower of Terror cast
Yes.
members at Disneyland because they have the elevator like bellhops
Yep.
who say like these exact kind of lines, you know, which
Yep.
I think is great. Great. Put that in there.
Love it.
And Tower of Terror actually is in Tokyo as well.
Yep.
It's still there.
That's very Butler from the Addams Family.
You rang.
Yeah, they're all dressed up in those like tuxedos. And, yeah.
And then there are other elements of the Haunted Hotel that could also be influenced by like the Haunted Mansion, which, by the way, Haunted Mansion is also in Tokyo Disneyland. So that's another one that's in
Oh, cool.
both the United States and in Tokyo. But there's like the haunted paintings, the decor on the walls,
The
like
ghosts.
wallpaper kind of stuff, right? The lobby, the cemetery outside. I mean, I have to point it out because it's definitely a thing. I mean, even the hanging front desk clerk could be influenced by
Yeah.
the hanging woman in the first scene of the Haunted Mansion.
There's always my way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously different application, but maybe they're like, what's a spooky way to get this clerk to show up? This would be super spooky.
So if anybody from Square Enix is watching this podcast, Jolie wants a sponsored trip for all of us to Tokyo Disney.
I have a lifetime pass to Disney parks except for Tokyo because of the OLC. So it's like, can't really get in there. But if they want to cover the flight and the Tokyo, I've always wanted to go to Tokyo Disney Sea. It sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So yes, Ernest is correct. I would like those things from someone, please.
Wish they'd all go on vacation.
And then when we get off the trolley, we're told that tickets to the Gold Saucer are 3,000 gil. Do you remember this? You had to pay to go to the Gold Saucer
Okay.
in Original 7, or you could get a lifetime pass for 30,000 gil. Because you know, when you're on the world map, you can go back to this place at certain times of the game.
Actually, it's not that far off from Disney nowadays. Like one ticket's like 3,000 and 30,000 for a
No
lifetime
comment.
pass.
Oh, they're so expensive now. The percentage that ticket prices at Disneyland have increased since I started working there, it's like, it blows my mind. I don't know how people can afford it. I really don't. It's crazy, but it's magical and
people pay for magic.
yeah.
We were thinking about taking the kids there this past November, and then I looked at the prices of it, and I was like, you know what? For that much, I can just pay a bunch of people to dress as Disney characters and show up to my kid's birthday.
Right. That would cost way less.
It's cheaper than going to Disney.
I know.
It's
I know.
insane.
Not the same experience, though. I don't know if you've ever seen the people who dress up in those costumes and like are in the local parade, and you're just like,
without permission.
some of them are good, and some of them you're like, yeah.
It's the Great Value Snow White.
Yeah, yeah.
Why do we look like this?
And then I went to Speed Square, and this is where you see the big space guy hologram.
This is the most Disneyland themed one
Yes,
in the
it
world.
is. Okay, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
So this is where you play the minigame Galactic Saviors, right? But this opening location with like the space hologram, okay, totally inspired by
Is it like Space Mountain or Buzz Lightyear?
Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters,
Yeah,
100%.
It feels like Buzz Lightyear because he's there giving the spiel.
Yeah, not the ride itself, but like this entrance queue area kind of thing, or like, So there's this ride, for those who haven't been, called Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters, and it actually existed in Tokyo until this last October. And now I think they're retheming it into some, Wreck-It Ralph
Oh, okay.
thing or something. They like to retheme rather than build new stuff sometimes. But yeah, so Astro Blasters existed at Tokyo Disneyland, right? And just like in Rebirth, as you're walking through the queue of Astro Blasters, before getting to the ride, there's a giant Buzz Lightyear animatronic that gives you background on the ride story and challenges to help you save the galaxy, just like this, right? And it's so the hologram in Rebirth. And they even use the same terminology of Space Ranger.
Yeah.
Welcome, cadets, to Space Ranger HQ.
Like, they call everybody Space Rangers.
I'm Buzz Lightyear, Space Ranger.
Straight up Buzz Lightyear, straight up.
You want to be a space ranger too?
And then when you actually get into the ride area, while the ride cars themselves are different from Astro Blasters, they look and feel just like other Disney rides.
Yeah.
Like Star Tours or some of the new Star Wars rides, you know, where like there are these big settings and you get into the car and like the cast members have uniforms to match and they're acting the part. And it's Disney. It's Disney.
It's so Disney.
Yeah,
so
it's crazy.
Disney.
And while I'm on the subject of Disney Parks inspiration, also, if you look at the names of the mapped areas of the Gold Saucer, I kid you not, there are 2 areas called Adventureworld and Fantasyworld.
Wow.
Like, come on, like
Disney.
Any Disney patron knows that that's a direct pull from Adventureland and Fantasyland across the Disney parks, which exist in all of the Disney parks basically, except for.
But this is World, so it's bigger. Right?
Oh, yes.
It's not land, it's World.
So yeah, tons of Disney call outs, especially when you enter this space for sure. But then the Skywheel unexpectedly stops operations. The crew members say they're having technical difficulties and they start just escorting people off the Skywheel. So we missed our chance. We're going to have to find it later.
Which, by the way, it occurred to me, and you might be able to speak to this better than I can because you used to work at Disney, but it almost appeared to me like this was a safety protocol that was triggered because of what had happened in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
So rather than create a panic, the cast members feigned technical difficulties to evacuate the premises.
We are currently experiencing some minor technical difficulties.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are experiencing some technical difficulties. Please remain seated in your dune buggy. A cast member will be with you in just a moment.
Yeah, Disney tries not, like if they have an issue, they don't try to lie to people. Like they'll just say that there's been an issue or they're having an issue and then they'll escort people off, right? Like there's a lot of times that it's very popular for people to dump loved ones' ashes on the Haunted Mansion.
Oh my God.
And that's not something you should do. It's kind of a biohazard. So
I think it's also illegal.
Whenever that happens, which is often, Disney has to shut down the Haunted Mansion completely and take everyone off the ride. And they basically just vacuum up your ancestors' ashes and they have to throw them away. Like, don't throw your ashes on this ride. But like, you know, they're not going to say, oh, some other person just dumped their ashes on the Haunted Mansion. So they'll say like, you know, we have to come to a close and we were getting everybody off the ride or something.
Playful spooks have interrupted our tour. Please remain seated in your doom buggy.
And then they do it, you know, because they don't want people to panic, but they also don't want to tell people
what happened.
That happened, because they'll probably just make other people do it more, you know. Because the idea is there's 999 ghosts on the Haunted Mansion, and people, I think, want their relative to be the 1000th ghost, so they keep dumping their loved ones out.
People are weird.
They do it in like the rivers.
The Disney adults are weird.
Pirates gets it too. Like there's so many. Anyway.
And they have cameras everywhere. So like they're not going to see you do it.
Yeah. Everywhere. I've been in the rooms with the cameras and it's
everywhere.
Tons. And they see it all. And like they'll pull the person aside and determine what to do. But yeah. But to your point, like the protocol of them escorting people off is very Disney-esque. But beyond that, they actually say that friendly cast members will help guide them off the skywheel.
Over here, folks. Our friendly cast members will show you the way.
So they're using the terminology cast members verbally here.
Yeah, that's when I heard it. I heard cast members for the first time and I was like, they said it.
Yeah, so again, it's like this term that's very Disney-esque, right? So good call out.